Arsenal Football Club are set to be making a move for Yeremy Pino. This was confirmed yesterday by Ben Jacobs. They see him as a viable option, and it is said that Villarreal could be set to let him leave and go. Also taking a look at Wesley Fofana, a final bid, a final push from Chelsea Football Club to get this deal over the line. Sorry about being late today, people. Some people changed some settings and I had no idea how to fix it because I am old. Make sure that like button is being smashed. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. Let's go. Good morning and welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. We are, as you can see, sponsored by our friends at OneFootball today. Make sure you've got their app downloaded. The best one-stop shop in football for all your football news, league tables, statistics, starting lineups, and much, much more. Please make sure that you, as I say, you are using it. You have to make sure that's being done. And you're subscribing, you get it downloaded, scan the QR code or click on the link in the description or pinned into the live comment section. A lot of people are saying, hope you're well. I'm very, very good. I'm very, very good. A little bit stressed this morning. I was trying to get set up and camera settings were changed. I don't even know what someone did to my StreamYard. I didn't know, but couldn't make it work. So I lost 20 minutes of the show today. So I'm very, very sorry about that. Trying to get better with timekeeping, but generally it's guests that are late or there's a technical issue. So I'm very, very sorry indeed. I don't mean to disrespect you all in that way. I know a lot of YouTubers don't really care about being late and stuff, but I really, really do. Morning, I'm very, very good, and good evening to me. I hope you're doing well over there in Australia. Look, there's lots of deals to kind of talk about this morning, lots of transfers on the horizon. And the one that I really wanted to speak about was Yeremy Pino, because this was the name being thrown at me yesterday by Gooners. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And then, look, from my point of view, I look at the situation and I look at it from this particular light. I want to go through what Ben Jacobs said yesterday. I'm not too sure why that popped straight up. This is what Ben Jacobs said about the deal yesterday.
And I think that this one is one to watch. So, first of all, he has a release clause. And if Arsenal do business below the release clause, they'll have pulled off a fantastic signing. And the release clause is, I believe, over 65 million quid. And the feeling is that any Arsenal interest will be in the mid-30s. So it'll be a fantastic bit of business and ambitious as well. And I've seen the reports that say that there's interest from Arsenal and Liverpool and that Arsenal are going to have an offer accepted for somewhere in the region of 30 to 35 million. And that, I think, to give them credit, first came from the Spanish outlet AS. And they believe in Spain that a likely bid of half the release clause could be accepted. And that's because Villarreal need the money and they have to sell.
That's what he had to say yesterday. So there is a real feeling that this deal can be done. There is a real feeling that it may be able to get over the line. Now, there are some Arsenal fans out there that kind of look at this from the situation that they feel Arsenal being used to get other clubs involved, etc. Look, Ben isn't a waffler, but Ben gives a lot of details, so people call it waffle. But often people call him a waffler because he gives information that they don't want to hear. If he dumbed it down and boiled it down and just said, I spoke to some contacts at Villarreal, they are interested in selling, and Arsenal are set to advance talks, and left it at that, you'd all go, oh my God, Ben Jacobs is a genius. But because he goes into detail, gives you the whats and the wheres, the ups and the downs, people don't tend to like it. But his update was very, very clear. He says that this is more substance to this than other rumors. I have made an inquiry 24 hours back to the agent, and there was a coy response, one to watch. Based on what people close to the player are saying, there is some truth to this transfer. That is the feeling. That is the feeling surrounding Yeremy Pino to Arsenal. Now, we'll see how this kind of progresses. We'll see how this kind of turns out in relation to everything going on. But a very talented young winger, a player that Liverpool are heavily interested in, a player that Liverpool, it kind of feels like a Liverpool signing, young, up and coming, somebody that Jurgen Klopp can really sink his teeth into and develop. But for Arsenal to go and get him, I think it marks a couple of very important things. Firstly, it kind of goes to show that, you know, Liverpool, that the Arsenal are on the up and up, as it were. They're improving. They're moving in the right direction. If they're able to go and sign a player of this quality now, when there are Champions League teams that are in kind of, you know, title race mode, etc., if they're able to go and sort of look at him, maybe sign him, maybe pick him up at this moment in time, it shows the direction that Arsenal have gone in. And it's something I've been talking about for a while on the terrace. Now, you don't necessarily need Champions League football. You need to be an attractive place to go and play football. That's the key component here. Are you an attractive place to go and play football? And Arsenal right now are. Whether rival fans want to hear this or not, it's irrelevant. There's a feel-good factor. The football's looking good. There's a young, hungry squad. There's a manager that's improving all the time. There's a board that for the last 18 months have really been running Arsenal well. Now, there's a long way to go to get Arsenal back to the top. There's a long way to go to get Arsenal firing on all cylinders. But they are in a very, very good place indeed. A very, very good place indeed. I don't think you can get yourself away from that. Arsenal need to get Tielemans or Savic as well. I think we will get top four. Listen, Arsenal do still need more signings this summer. I think a player like Yeremy Pino would be perfect to add to your attack. It also stops a rival getting him or him costing a hell of a lot more money later on down the line. I think that's something that people don't always think about, is how much is he going to cost in 2 years, 4 years, 6 years time if he continues to progress at this rate. Arsenal are having the best summer on par with Spurs. Well, look, Spurs' summer's good because of numbers, have added depth to their squad. I think Arsenal are making the types of signings that are making them a real threat. I think you're going to see that Arsenal are going to have a bigger jump this year in terms of improvement than Spurs will. And a lot of people are finding that hard to comprehend and understand because it goes against the status quo. It goes against the easy prediction is, well, Spurs finished fourth, Arsenal finished fifth. They both had good summers, therefore Spurs will be better. And if you watch football long enough, you realize it very rarely works in a very linear pattern in that way. Never really has, and I don't think it ever really will. So Arsenal are still my picks to finish in front of them. Hey Terry, how are you? Love the content. Always just wanted to know what streaming software or hardware you use. I'm trying to find the best one. Well, I use StreamYard currently. I'll be honest with you, we are looking to move away from it. But to move away from it, I need someone who controls it every time I stream. If you go to more complicated and sophisticated products like Wirecast, you need someone controlling it all the time. We have Javern that does that in the studio. But over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, you'll see the terrace veer away from this and go more towards Wirecast. It's a little bit more sophisticated. It'll be looking a little bit better than this one does. So yeah, keep your eyes out on that. But StreamYard is a great product to start with, no doubt about it. Thank you very much for that super chat, my guy. Terry, can't believe you are saying Arsenal will finish above Chelsea. But listen to what it is I've said. Again, everybody takes my... This is what I've realized about social media. It's so binary. And this is the viewpoint everybody has on Twitter. That's how people see you. They see this very narrow space, as opposed to listening to what you actually say and interacting with your actual claim. So right now, as things stand, I've got Arsenal doing it. But what did I say? And I'm going to leave it. I'm going to look. The Football Terrace community are in here. The Football Terrace community are going to write in the comments what I actually said. They're going to write what I've actually said about Arsenal and Chelsea and where they finish this season. And as soon as somebody puts it into the comment section, I'll put it up on the screen. But I know the Terrace alumni are going to put it up there for you. It's not as clear cut as just Arsenal in front of Chelsea. That isn't quite what I've said. There's my prediction and where I think people are going to go. But at the same time, I think it's very, very important to understand exactly where I've come from on this. If we don't get De Jong, are we going after Nunes? Well, look, it's one of these that one of the comments has come through already. When Chelsea get their targets, then we talk. And as I've said, if Chelsea land De Jong and Fofana and they add it to this squad, then I believe they'll finish in front of Arsenal. They just need that little bit more. If they don't, then my opinion changes. You know, if Man United suddenly land De Jong, land Gakpo and somebody else between now and the end of the window, and before now and the end of the window, we start playing better football, I might up us from 7th to 6th. Do you get my point? Like the world can change. And I think that your first early season predictions will change before the transfer window closes. They always do, because you see the teams play, you see the togetherness, you see the style of football, and of course, new people being added. So let's not get too bogged down on what we said a week ago, and let's wait until the end of the transfer window. Now, we will touch on Nunes a little bit later on in the show. What I did want to touch on here is Fabrizio has come out today and said that Chelsea are working on many deals, talks with intermediaries of Wesley Fofana after 2 bids are rejected. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang discussed as an option since last week, but no proposal to Barca yet. And I wouldn't be too surprised to hear that. Aubameyang hasn't given any green light to the Chelsea move, although it's believed privately that he would be up for it. You've also got this thing with Wesley Fofana is a real simple one. The player wants to go. He's kind of making noises and movements towards wanting to leave himself. So Chelsea are in a comfortable position to place bids. What's really intriguing about the situation with Fofana is there is a growing confidence among Chelsea that they will be able to agree a deal and get it done. And what Chelsea are doing is a very simplistic but very potent approach when it comes to this deal. Is instead of just bidding blindly and throwing more money at it, what they're doing with Leicester is talking about the structure of the deal, how much cash they want up front, how much they would be willing to accept in installments, what the add-ons would be. They're trying to drive the price down, but by giving the structure and the terms of the deal to be more favorable for Leicester City. That, for me, is a very key component in this. So they are adamant, Chelsea Football Club, that they will not be making a world record-breaking bid for the player. That is something they're adamant about. That is something they're sure about. That is something that they are relatively confident about in relation to this deal. But what they may turn around and do is pay half the fee up front in cash, and then the remaining half, rather than spreading over a 5-year period, they might say, we'll pay it to you in 2 years, we'll pay it to you in 3 years. That way, although they get to put it on their books instantly as a sale, they actually have the physical cash a lot sooner. If they leave it a year, they might get an extra £5 million for the player. But if that's spread over a 5-6 year players, the actual cash in the business takes a lot longer to arrive. And for any business, cash is king. And when you look at Leicester City, the necessity for them to have cash in their business right now, incoming into their business right now, is very, very crucial. Very, very needed indeed. So there's a growing confidence at Chelsea that Wesley Fofana can get over the line. Aubameyang is slightly different. We know Aubameyang is slightly different. However, it's one of these situations whereby I think it's really doable. I think it's really, really doable that Chelsea are able to get their deal done. They need a striker. There is a great relationship between the club and the player and Tuchel, between Aubameyang and Tuchel. There is a feeling of confidence there. And we all know that Barcelona have got these financial constraints. Now, they keep painting this very happy picture at the front of things. But what they're doing privately and what they're doing publicly are very, very different indeed. Of course, Barcelona fans will pull into the public stuff. They want their club to be they want things around their club to look and feel as positive as possible. But at the end of the day, they are, without a shadow of a doubt, struggling in terms of registering all their players. There's talks of Christiansen's and Kesse's potentially being able to leave on free transfers if they're not able to turn around and get new deals, some players out, and to be able to save some money in relation to the wage bill. So it's going to be intriguing to see what happens in those areas. But I think if you throw Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Wesley Fofana, and De Jong into this Chelsea team, they're just serious. They're a serious, serious animal for this season. And there's still a long way to go for Chelsea. There's a lot of improvement that's needed. There's a lot more development of this squad that's needed. Thomas Tuchel still needs more time. But you start looking at this team and you think to yourself, serious, serious players. I don't think you can get away from it. I don't think it can be twisted into any other kind of direction. They will be serious, serious players if this gets done. Who's Tonali? I've seen a lot of people talk about Arsenal trying to sign him. I don't personally see this deal happening this summer. As Ben Jacobs pulled on yesterday, I was saying to Jess the other day that this feels like a deal for the future for Arsenal, but a Spanish outlet has run with it early. A Spanish outlet has, sorry, an Italian outlet has said, well, let's go with it now. They've had talks. Let's just publish the stories. You know, it's good for clicks. It's good for our newspaper, our whatever it is, our website, etc. And I think for me that's something which Arsenal fans should be encouraged about. Is it a deal that's going to happen this summer? In my opinion, no, not this summer at all. I want to say a big thank you, by the way, to Himashu. I think it's Yavdav for becoming an official Academy member of the Football Terrace. We've got our first head-to-head video dropping later on today for you for members only. So please make sure you're all ready with your memberships to get that done. I know a few of you that had them gifted last month have dropped off. You're not going to be able to access the member-only content, and it's going to really ramp up soon. We've got the first head-to-head show later on today where we're comparing two different players and kind of breaking down, details about them, etc. So keep your eyes out for that, members. You have to go to the community page to see that. You won't always get notifications because YouTube is a bump, a proper bump. But a lot of you are part of our Telegram notification group as well. All the information for that is in our description below. Same as becoming a member. Yes, he did complete a level on there. Terry, any news on Liverpool and Barella? Nothing on Barella. I've not even really read anything about Barella. What is interesting again, though, about Liverpool is news in relation to Mateus Nunes. Again, the Spanish press are continuing to push this news that Liverpool see him on top of the wish list and the Reds are preparing a bid for the midfielder. This news seemingly isn't going away. This news is continuous. This news is always here. This news is something which doesn't want to go away internationally. Now, it is going away on a national front. James Pearce has come straight out, debunked this, denied this, whatever kind of phrase, turn of phrase you want to use, but it's essentially turned around and said, Liverpool are not looking at this deal. That's what he is stating. That is what he is claiming, that Liverpool are not looking to do this, will not be looking to do this, and whatever else. So, look, I think from a Liverpool fan's point of view, there is almost an element of frustration at the lack of new signings. But right now, there really isn't a lot of news. The news is all coming internationally. It's coming internationally. But yeah, I think from my standpoint, I kind of see Liverpool doing something later in the window. I do see a kind of late bid maybe going in. The fact that Liverpool haven't really divulged, the last time I checked, it may have come out since, to be fair, how long Thiago's going to be out for and what's happening with that. I think, it has kind of sent Liverpool fans into a little bit of a panic. It sent Liverpool fans into a bit of a frenzy. It sent Liverpool fans into a kind of space of, what's going on? What's going to happen? Where are we going to end up? Can we really compete with Manchester City? And I understand the worries, I understand the frustrations, and I understand the situation that's going on. Comment here from Carl B. It says Thiago's injury means Liverpool will focus on a midfielder and not Pino. Well, yeah, I think so. That helps. I mean, the one thing I'd say about Liverpool though is, they did this with Luis Diaz. It really with Pino, it really depends on how serious they are about him. And the reason that I say that is because if they're massively serious on him, and I want to make sure I say this in the right way, and Arsenal suddenly start making direct inroads into this deal, what you will see from Liverpool is maybe a U-turn. Listen, we've got to go and buy this kid now. Arsenal are going to take him. If he's just somebody on Arsenal Liverpool's list, then they'll just let Arsenal take him. If he's one of many players they kind of consider to be of similar ilk, similar quality, then I think it will work in that way. Let's have a little look here. A super chat here from my guy Gio, who says, congrats Terry on the channel hitting 250k. Appreciate you going live around 1 a.m. my time because I have a newborn and I'm on night duty. Thanks to keeping me awake. And Tonelli is not for sale. Of course, Gio, a big. I want to say you are an AC Milan fan. To be fair, that's what I think you are. I know watches Serie A. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the comment and congratulations, by the way, on the baby. And yeah, night duties are difficult. Been there myself. Been there myself. Even though, to be fair, my youngest, Jackson, his mother did the vast majority of the night work. To be fair, I did more with the first two, but Jackson, I got a lot more sleep with Jackson. To be fair, but that was work permitting. So I always respect his mother for that, allowing me to be able to work, because I wouldn't be able to operate in the mornings if I'd have been up all night with the babies. 100%. Liverpool want Saka, Martinelli, as well as our wingers. Well, yeah, Liverpool are circling, and Liverpool do want. They are interested in a number of players, and that's because they're looking beyond Mo's salary, even though he just signed a new deal. And they have to. That's how football clubs work. You have to keep your eyes on people. I would expect to see Liverpool make a move for one of those two players in the next 12 to 24 months, in my opinion. Got a bad feeling for Frankie de Jong. He is really being dragged through the mud through no fault of his own. How UEFA or La Liga are not getting involved is beyond me. You've got to understand that UEFA and La Liga need Barcelona more than they need Frankie de Jong. The clubs always get backed because the clubs are going to be here beyond the player, and those relationships are absolutely key. So I'm not surprised to see that whatsoever. Terry, do you think Saka will renew his contract with Arsenal? Probably, but I still think he could leave Arsenal, and that'll all be about Arsenal's progression and growth. And I know that Arsenal fans hate hearing this, but it's facts, and you can't get away from these facts because they are facts. That if Arsenal don't get back to challenging for Premier League titles, being able to win the Champions League, being in the Champions League, players like Saka, players like Saliba will leave. That's not a dig. It's a prerequisite of having top-class players at an underperforming club. It's not Arsenal specific. It's football wide. If you're not at a team that can compete, but the player is top class to world class, you lose them. Will he renew his contract? Of course he will. He'll respect Arsenal. He'll renew his contract for one of the biggest reasons being it will secure Arsenal a very big fee if he was to leave. But if Arsenal in the next 12 to 18 months start challenging for Premier Leagues, get into the Champions League and are a real threat and people think they could win it, Saka's staying for life. Saka won't leave while Arsenal are competitive in that way. I just don't see it. As long as they pay him the going rate for the most expensive club to watch football in the world. So if Saka becomes one of the best inside forwards in the world, and inside forwards in the world are being paid 350 grand a week, if they're of top class, world class level, of course, it might have to increase his wages to keep him, etc. But as a general rule, he'll want to stay at Arsenal. But if Arsenal are underperforming, he'll want to leave. And that's just normal. That's again, some Arsenal fans will take that as me having a dig. It's not a dig at all. It's just the realities of football. When you've been around football long enough, when you've watched it long enough, that's just the way it goes. Simple as that. Liverpool has to get a midfielder this season. We have so many injury-prone players. I hear you on that. Saka to Chelsea, Cho to Arsenal. Good deal. Yeah, for Cho. Oh, and for Saka, I suppose. But yeah, not for Arsenal. Arsenal wouldn't do that deal. Listen, I've said it before about Callum Hudson-Odoi. Talent for days. Ability for days. Actual performance and output, championship. It's funny because I haven't watched lots of All or Nothing, but I've watched a lot of All or Nothings in the past, whether it be football, whether it be the NFL. And all you ever hear about is aptitude, output, deliverance, attitude, behaviors, work rate. You very rarely hear, the way tacticos and eye test merchants talk on social media, you very rarely hear like the coaches, the managers, the directors, even the players talk like that. It's very strange. Well, it isn't strange to people that know football. So yeah, that's Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's the eye test merchant's dream. He's a tactico's dream. But in actuality, he is a bang average football player. Because footballers are judged on what they deliver, not how good their skills look. And of course, the very best footballers in the world have both. and we know this. But I'd rather a non-techie footballer that delivers than a techie footballer that doesn't. It feels like a waste, you know? It feels like a waste. A real waste, you know? But there we go. But there we go. They don't show it on purpose. Oh, so you think they hold back the technical and tactical side so that people don't learn what they're saying and doing? You do realize there are not very many secrets in football. You do realize that Pep isn't doing something in training that other clubs and managers don't know about. Do you want to know how? Because there's so many transfers of players, managers, directors of footballs that stuff spreads. The difference is just because you know what. I could learn what Pep Guardiola learns. I could be taught everything that Pep Guardiola does in intricate detail. I could be taught, I could learn and study and have as much football knowledge as Pep. I could be taught and trained every tactic, every training technique, every little nuance. You could teach me everything that Pep Guardiola knows. I believe I have the intelligence and the capacity to learn it. And I'm seeing people here say, bro, you couldn't. No. You're misunderstanding. No, I could. I absolutely could. But would I be able to put it into practice? That's the difference. Knowing and doing are two very, very different things. So I can watch tutorial videos of Gordon Ramsay cooking. I can read every book. I can watch every show. I can have masterclass. I can pay for him to come and teach me to cook. Does that mean I'll be able to cook as well as Gordon Ramsay? Probably not. Most likely not. So I don't think that these TV shows hold back on showing those side of things. I believe they show the important bits, the bits that actually matter. And Pep Guardiola is a tactical genius. But you know what's the biggest attribute of him? His man management skills. Because if the people didn't buy him into his tactics, into his systems, if the standards and the discipline and the culture wasn't of a high level, the tactical side of things would fall apart. That is the most important. That is why just listen to these guys speak. It's what they speak about 80% of the time. So a lot of you go, no, you couldn't do it. Watching is not understanding. But you did not listen to what I said. I could learn and understand it. I could be taught it. I could be trained it. I could sit next to Pep Guardiola for 10 years and learn it all and be able to explain it to you in intricate detail. But could I go and do it? There's a difference. Knowing isn't doing. So other professional managers and coaches could learn everything Pep Guardiola does. It doesn't mean they can deliver it like him. Otherwise, they would just do it. Otherwise, you just sign a couple of City players, get all the breakdown of what. In fairness, Mikel Arteta isn't able to do at Arsenal what City are doing, and he was there. And that's not a dig. It's just, I know what I'm speaking is the truth, and that's not saying you can do what Pep Guardiola does just because you know what he does. It just is what it is. It's the same in the medical profession. Doctors all go to, two doctors can have the same education, same medical schools, follow each other's careers. One could be better than the other because there's an ability, an adaptability, and so much of that ability is away from the technical. It's an understanding, it's a buying. But yeah, Pep Flores. I reckon I could school Pep. I could beat him in a ring anyway. It's one of them ones, people. Terry was Mama's hairline now his daddy's. I don't understand it. Is that meant to be banter? I don't get it, mate. Re-explain that for us. So Tezza is better than all the Premier League managers in the last 6 years. See, that's not what I said, is it? It's not what I said. You're twisting my words because what you people, some of you do, is rather than listen to me to finish a sentence and explain it, you straight away, I'm going to turn my keyboard off. You straight typing. Listen to what's being said first. Didn't say I could do what I could never do what Pep Guardiola does. That's why I do this and he does what he does. But I could learn everything that he knows. But I still wouldn't be able to deliver it. There's the difference. Interpersonal skills, management skills, very, very key. Very, very key indeed. Tactics are based on training data, which is supposed to be confidential. Clubs don't like to share it as may impact future deals. Like I've said, though, an assistant manager who's been with Pep for 5 years leaves and goes to another club. You think he's not going to tell the new club things that Pep did? The knowledge will get around. See, bruv, you're just making it so convoluted as a conversation. What Pep does day to day isn't a secret in football. there's actually books that have been written about it. What he does, like, it is what it is. The difference between Pep doing it though and someone reading about it or learning about it or being told about it is Pep's delivery of it. Sometimes two managers can be given the same information out, but the one who's the better communicator, the better people person, will get his players to do it better than somebody else. It's not the knowledge per se; it's the delivery of it. It's the. I get this I see it all the time with in the content creating world. People are like, "I can't believe." I saw someone tweet last night. I can't believe that Lawrence Boothby, City fan from the kickoff, gets paid to talk football. He knows nothing. I'm like, he isn't paid for his football knowledge per se. He's paid for his personality, because unlike 99% of the people moaning about him, he's a nice guy and has a personality that people like listening to. It isn't how much you know about football that makes you the biggest and the best content creators. Some of the best content football creators on the planet don't have the best football knowledge, but their personalities are why they shine. It's the same difference. It's the same difference. That's why I see a lot of bitter people online. Oh, I know more about Arsenal than Troops. Yeah, but you're not as fun and entertaining as Troops. Your personality isn't as compelling. It's nothing to do with your football knowledge, and it's all about your personality. And a lot of tacticos and a lot of eye test merchants are boring geeks. They're boring geeks that nobody wants to listen to. That's why they tweet things and get a lot of traction, because it sounds good. As soon as they start speaking, it's like, I don't want to listen to you, bruv. And they don't like it. And that's just the way of the world, my friend. It's just the way of the world. Anyway, we're moving on from this right about now. We're going to move forward here. I agree. You need first-hand experience, otherwise you'll never get to that level. I agree. Why are United pushing for Rabiot when they've got an extra 10 million? You can get Tielemans. That's a really good question. I saw people talking about it yesterday. I kind of feel like Man United know that if they actually bid for him, Arsenal come in. I kind of get that. That's the feeling, personally. Equally, I think that players like Tielemans could be approached if we don't sign De Jong. And the club are seemingly, for one reason or another, they're staying in this De Jong deal. They're not walking away from this De Jong deal. So I think personally that is playing a big part in this. If I'm being absolutely honest, I think that's playing a big part. I think that's playing a key part. I think that's something which is difficult to kind of get away from. That is, that appears to be a real kind of thing, as it were, for Manchester United. So United are looking at, again, they're painting this picture like it's a proper Ten Hag signing. We will see the progression of this deal and whether it really is. But for me, as things stand right now, I think United are going to sign Rabiot, but they're going to sign somebody else as well. Although even the Rabiot deal is now being delayed. Like, it's crazy that we can't get anything done quickly. It's starting to bore me now. It's starting to frustrate me and really get on my nerves. Everything is so convoluted. Everything is so difficult to kind of get done and get over the line. I want to say a big thank you to Mark. Man like Mark here, becoming an official member of the Football Terrace. Remember the head-to-head challenge, the head-to-head debate out later on today for you. Members only content. Very, very excited for you to come out. A few people here saying, "Oh, Mark Goldbridge gets me to watch because he's funny." Listen, Mark Goldbridge has got good football knowledge. I'm not stating that he isn't, but I bet you there is some kid with 50 followers on Twitter who knows more about football than Goldbridge. But Mark Goldbridge is compelling. He's entertaining. He's engaging. He's funny. He's angry. He rants. He does everything. He's entertainment. So people watch it. And that's why when I see people moaning, why has this person got more followers than me? Well, mate, it's probably because you're boring. That's it. Probably because you're boring, bad vibes, no one likes you. So work on your personality, not your football knowledge. Watching another three, spending no time with the irony is, don't spend less time with friends, less time socializing, less time living life and gaining experience and watching more football leagues and more players to grow your football knowledge. That isn't going to help you. I say get out there, live your life, be young, be crazy, learn things, develop a personality, then come back to this and more people will watch you. Trust me. Trust me. I'm sorry to sound so harsh, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth of the matter. It's just the truth of the matter. But there we go. Rabiot and McFred in midfield for Man United is a disaster. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Now, listen, I'm going to give you a roundup on some of the breaking news that's circulating today. Smash the like and share button. Let's do this. Liverpool are set to make a bid or preparing a bid for the Sporting Lisbon midfielder, Mateus Nunes. He's a top-level target, and more reports coming out of Portugal that Liverpool Football Club will be making a bid. Chelsea are working on many different deals. Talks for Fofana continue. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is being discussed as an option. There is a confidence at Chelsea here, according to Simon Phillips, that they can agree a deal to sign the Leicester defender Wesley Fofana and are preparing a third offer. Leicester do not want to sell Fofana, but they would find it difficult to turn down an offer close to £80 million. And according to Ben Jacobs, there is more substance to this Pino move than before. There's been a coy response from the agents. It is one to watch. And the Evening Standard are reporting. The Arsenal, and I'm actually going to read out their line for you right here. It's disappeared off my screen for some obscure reason. Their headline this morning reads, Arsenal in talks with Pino and set to agree a fee. That was their words. So there's lots of interesting stories circulating today, some exciting news stories as well. I want your thoughts and I want your feelings, though. Mark here with the super chat says, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have of football. There isn't one single person who doesn't give an outrageous take. Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's, a lot of the time, though, it isn't really but it's content creating is about being entertaining. And do you know what it is? Listen, I'm not as entertaining as some of these people, which is why, you know, we are where we are. There's people that used to come. I'll give you an example, though. There's people that used to come on the terrace who don't anymore. And I've asked them why. And they're just like, oh, because the one guy was very honest with me. He was like, I just don't understand why. When he said this to me, I nearly died. He went, I can't understand why so many people watch you compared to me on my channel. I was like, wow, the arrogance. But he was being honest with me. He was honest back. And I said, because you're boring after 5 minutes. I said, you're brilliant when you call in and you give a quick take. It's funny. It's entertaining. So as soon as you start talking beyond 5 minutes, you're as dull as dishwater, mate. Dishwater. Go and work on your personality and then come back to this game because you're never going to make it. Maybe he's doing that. I haven't seen him stream for a while, but it's not my fault. What I don't like about you, Terry, sometimes you apologize for spitting truths and facts. Screw their feelings. They don't have any personality. It's not like when I say I'm sorry to hurt your feelings, it's because I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Like I'm just trying to be nice. Sometimes I say sorry at the end of things. It's a very British way of kind of finishing a sentence. Well, that's just what I think. I'm sorry to say it, but we don't actually mean we're sorry to say it. It's just like a figure of speech here. It's just something that's kind of drummed into us as a kid. But the thing you don't like about me is sometimes I apologize for spitting facts. So I appreciate that. I do appreciate that, my friend. Thank you. Terry, who are you taking, Connor Ben or Eubank Jr.? This is a hard fight for Connor Ben. This is like, can he really generate power and his speed at this weight? That's my concern for him. I think pound for pound, he's a better boxer than Eubank Jr. But at this weight, Eubanks Jr. has got such an advantage, in my opinion. But it depends on the rehydration clause. Because if Eubank Jr. can rehydrate back up to like super middleweight power and size, I just can't see Conor Benn beating him. But I want Conor Benn to win. I like both. Out of the two, I like Conor Benn more. I always like Nigel Benn more. I like Conor Benn more. I think it's an East London thing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's one of them. TFT party was great. Very inspirational. Thanks. Not a problem at all, my friend. Not a problem at all. I appreciate the super chat. I think we bumped into you. Were you in the pub? Were you in the bar that we were in? I think you were. It might be you. We bumped into a few people that night. Ben will smoke you, Bank. Oh, that's an interesting one. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens in this. A few people are asking for the link. We'll share that now for you guys to come in and have your say on the show this morning. I'm going to share that right now in the comment section, my people. So I spelled it wrong. A little bit behind today. I hate being behind. It bothers me a lot. Like, gets into my head. What I would like for you guys to do for me though is make sure you're downloading the OneFootball app, scan the QR code on the screen, or click on the link in the description below, or pinned into our live comments section. A brilliant application and a brilliant place. It's the one-stop shop for all your news. Like, Twitter's really good. This place is even better. They just basically amalgamate all the different news stories that are circulating right across the planet. We've got a little treat this morning. Always nice when this guy pops up. It's nice to see that he's still likes the terrace. Do you know what I mean? He's a good guy. Igao is going to be joining us in a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you stay with us. I don't know what some of you write things and I don't know what you're talking about. I'll be honest with you. Morning, Samuel. Hope you're good, my friend. Hope you're good. Hope you're good. Hezbollah is king. Do you know, I only found out the other day that Hezbollah is a man. I only found out he's a man the other day, you know. I thought he was a kid. I thought he was a kid that just looked old like Benjamin Button. Turns out he's an actual fully grown man. Well, I say fully grown. You know what I mean? Like he ain't getting any bigger. Like, I was a bit sad. A little bit like who's the name of that actor? I swear there was an actor in America who looked like a kid but was a grown up. I can't remember his name. But yeah, bless. I didn't realize he was a man. He's like 50 or something. No, he's not. He's about 30 or something. But there we go. What do you mean? I'm jokes. I'm not joking. He's a fully grown man. He's fully grown. He's fully grown for people of his size or with his thing. I don't even know what it's called, but I was like, all right, yeah, 18. It's pretty much, he ain't getting much bigger after 18. I swear men don't go after 18, 19. It is what it is. Do you know, I learned an interesting fact the other day that all boys got, unless they have an issue, all boys grow up to be taller than their mums. So men, if you've had a kid with a woman taller than you, your son, and it's a son, he is going to tower over you. Get ready for it. Igal's joining me now. Morning, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just finished watching All or Nothing. I haven't even gone back to sleep yet. I was going to do a reaction to it very soon. But before I go anywhere, I wanted to talk about this Aubameyang thing. Terry, if Aubameyang goes to Chelsea, the same guys who were calling him Finnish, making fun of him, are now going to be cheering for him. And don't forget, this is a guy who has an Arsenal tattoo on his forearm, Terry. So whenever he's wearing that Chelsea shirt, you're going to see it. It's not like what Willian was doing with the shin pad, with the Chelsea shin pad. This is roles reversed. You know how they used to always say Arsenal signed retired Chelsea players? They're literally signing basically a retired Arsenal player, an Arsenal reject, might I add. We let him go in a January window for free, and we didn't even replace him. And these guys think they're going to bring him in, and he's going to help them. I genuinely think if Aubameyang goes to Chelsea, he will flop massively. And we'll be looking back at it, and we'll be just saying to ourselves, we told you. There's a reason why we let him go. And Thomas Tuchel and this whole Chelsea transfer window that everyone's talking about, it is very messy. And Bowley being the head of this whole situation is making it more and more complex. They don't know what they're doing at Chelsea. They have no idea how to run a football club, get football people, get the right people in place. In a years or two, Chelsea will be run like a proper football club. Right now, this is very, very, very weird. And I'm not even trying to banter. I just look at it from the outside and I'm like, you know what? This is an opportunity for Arsenal. This is an opportunity for us because we seem to have our ducks in a row. We seem to be getting ourselves in a good situation. Tottenham also. If Chelsea are continually sporadic throughout this window and they don't end well and they don't get the players that they need, and Arsenal can take advantage of this, Tottenham can take advantage of this, and you could see Chelsea outside of the top four. But yeah, you bring in Aubameyang, you let go of Timo Werner, you bring in Aubameyang. Realistically, Timo Werner might offer you more than what Aubameyang would offer you at this moment in time. And with this Chelsea attack, you bring in Aubameyang in there, I don't think it's going to benefit you. And long story short, Chelsea's Aubameyang going to Chelsea, if they pay a fee, they're getting robbed. They're getting robbed. We let this guy go for free literally a couple months ago. If Barcelona get a fee, they're absolutely figured out this transfer window. They figured out the game. They've done something. Somehow they've made Aubameyang worth more than a free transfer. It's crazy to me.
Aubameyang scored 11 La Liga goals in 17 games for a dysfunctional Barcelona team. You know, he I remember watching his video he made with Troops where he was sort of talking how like Arsenal are doing better. I am happy. It's worked out for both. Clearly, he's down for, this was a player that scored 22 league goals 2 years running for Arsenal. And yes, started to fall away over a season and a half for you. But that was when he was being played out of position, when he was falling out with your manager, when he didn't want to be at Arsenal anymore. What's to say that he wouldn't go to Chelsea, be happy, and start scoring at the same rate he was at Barcelona? Why do you think you won't be able to do that at Chelsea?
It might start off well. It will end bad. It will end bad. And you know what? The Chelsea faithful, the true Chelsea fans, the ones that call themselves, I don't know what they call themselves, but they call themselves something. It's for proper Chelsea. Them ones, they're going to see Aubameyang's tattoo. They're going to see Aubameyang have a stinker here and there. They're going to see the poor form that we've seen on the back end of Aubameyang's reign at Arsenal. And once they start seeing that, they're going to say to themselves, why did we sign this guy? How old? They're going to point at his age. They're going to point at the fact that Barcelona wanted to get rid of him. They're going to point at the fact that Arsenal wanted to get rid of him. And they're going to look at it and they're going to realize what it is. This can't be something more than a year. If you guys sign Aubameyang, it has to be a short-term deal, and you need to get you through this season, and next season sign another player. Because if Aubameyang is your plan for the foreseeable future, I don't know what you guys are thinking. How is this going to work? I just don't see it. I think it's a recipe for failure, and I'm not even trying to banter right now. I just think if Chelsea sign Aubameyang, it will end horrific, and he will be doing an inside job for us. He will literally be helping us get top 4, something that he couldn't do as a player. He'll be helping us do that as a Chelsea player.
Wow, I mean, it's big takes. I mean, very, very big takes in relation to that. I mean, like Olivier Giroud went there and did very, very well indeed. I kind of see it differently to you. I don't think Aubameyang is washed. I think Aubameyang just wasn't happy where he was at Arsenal. He goes to Barca, new lease of life. He's looked fantastic. Now, unfortunately for him, Lewandowski's gone there. And with all due respect to Aubameyang, even peak Aubameyang at his best can't touch a Robert Lewandowski. So, of course, he becomes surplus to kind of requirements in that regard. I think he could be quite dangerous at Chelsea if they're able to create the chances, if that makes sense. So if the players they're bringing in, but when you've got Raheem Sterling is an elite chance creator. Mason Mount creates a hell of a lot of chances for his team as well. And I still think they need more in the attack. The Hudson-Odois of this world are not good enough. There's a big jury out on Kai Havertz. I mean, I didn't realize actually that Kai Havertz and Werner have scored the same amount of goals. I just naturally assumed that Kai Havertz has scored more. It turns out that literally it's almost identical kind of stuff.
Less than Michy Batshuayi. Did you know that?
No, I mean, I didn't know Batshuayi was even staying there, to be fair. I didn't even know Batshuayi was still at the club until I saw it recently. There's a super chat here that says, morning, Terry and Igal. Question for both. If Arteta comes unconvincing 5th, do you give him next season?
No. This simple answer every Arsenal fan will give you. Arteta doesn't get top 4 or get Europa League, win the Europa League, he's gone. Simple as that. There's no more hiding. He has his team, he has his players, he's had enough time, he has a spine of players that is his. He signed actual attackers now. There is no excuses. If you don't get top 4, bare minimum, or at least get the Europa League, you're gone.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I think winning the Europa Leagues, I still think your league form matters, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm not suggesting, I mean, you know where I predicted you to come. If you finished 5th or 6th, but were awful in the league, lost 13, 14 games again, didn't really improve, I think winning the Europa League papers over cracks, because I still think a manager has to be judged by what he does in your league form. For me, is how good you actually are. Not anybody can win a cup. Well, you can. Wigan won the FA Cup. So you can, and they got relegated. So it's almost a case of that wasn't a good, for a club their size, that's still a good season because they're so small and comparatively to an Arsenal. So I still think he has to do very well in the league and look to win a trophy. By the end of this window, it's likely to be over £400 million spent on a squad. By the time Jurgen Klopp has spent 400 million on his squad, he won the Premier League and the Champions League, and those standards have to be delivered against Arteta and Arsenal because you're as big a club in a lot of your fans' eyes.
Terry, the end goal, of course, is to always get back to fighting for major trophies. But the level that we were at we needed that level of investment to get ourselves back into contention with the rest of the top 4 teams. Our quality of players and the lack of quality in our team was visible over the last couple of years. And if you just say to yourself, oh, look at the price and say, oh, with this price, you need to get to this level. Well, does that apply to every club, or does it only apply to the top clubs? Because the lack of quality in majority of these teams, they would need to invest even more than that to even get to our level. Such why when people are talking about Newcastle reaching our level in a couple of years, yeah, but it's going to take them a long time to get there because they need to weed out all their players and bring in a new crop that's of the level to compete with us.
Well, yes and no, but if any club drops £400 million on a squad and has a top class manager, they should be in a position to be able to start competing for the top 4, and they should be moving towards closing the gap of the people at the top. The reason why the likes of Liverpool, for instance, had so much stick and took so much banter, and this was in the era before social media, up until the Klopp era, was because they'd spent more money in the Premier League up until about 2014 than Man United had done. It's from the start of the Premier League in 1992-93 up until 2014, they spent more money than Man United. You look at other clubs, you actually go back and look, and these stats, they're hidden now. You very rarely see these articles come out, but you look how much Spurs had spent, look how much Liverpool had spent, you look how much Newcastle had spent. You also look how much Aston Villa have spent and never won it. It's embarrassing. Like, if you give someone 400, 500 million pounds to build a squad, I expect them to be in a very good position to be able to challenge any team, especially a top club, because the difference between the top club and the smaller clubs is you're able to maintain that level of spending. And then as those players improve, you have the income and money to be able to improve the contracts to keep them. When you're a smaller club, where it falls down is you start building a very good team, but then those players become stars. They want superstar money, and the clubs can't afford it because salaries are generally a bigger outlay for clubs over a 5-year period than transfer fees can be. So I expect it more from the bigger clubs because you're able to maintain these players. You know, if Saka was currently at West Ham and he was playing at this level, like, how hard is it for them to renew and keep him? Because the bigger clubs come in can pay more. So the expectation on Arsenal has to be higher than West Ham, than Sunderland, than Wigan.
It is. But we also have to be a little bit realistic with where we were and where we're trying to be. Of course, we need to strive for that. No one's saying we're not trying to get there. But a team that still has, you could say, potentially 4 or 5 holes in their team, even after making the signings that we've made already, you don't say to yourself, a team that's ready to compete for the league has to make 4 or 5 signings in a window. You don't say to yourself, a team that needs to compete for a trophy needs to make 4 or 5 signings in their team just to have enough squad depth to get them through the season. Most of these teams that are competing for league titles on a season-to-season basis only need to add 2 to 3 players per season to strengthen their squad. They don't need to go and sign 5 players every window, which we've had to do over the last 2 to 3 windows.
No, I get that. And that's why this year I've turned around and said I think Arsenal needs to be finishing solidly in the top 4 and challenging for a trophy and closing the gap. By next year, if you're not in a title race, Arteta has to be sacked.
Forget about next year, Terry. I don't think about. I genuinely believe if Arsenal gets into Champions League, we'd be signing the level of caliber of players. There would be statement signings, and the rest of the league would be opening their eyes. I think if the fact that we didn't get Champions League last year, it put us in a situation where we have to be tempered with the level of quality of players that we're going after.
And I agree with that. But my point is this: like, Arteta's at a point now where every season unless he has credit in the bank for winning major trophies and do it. So if he was to win the Europa League this year and come third and be brilliant, and then next year, like, again, finishes in the top 4, he wouldn't necessarily lose his job. But I look at it along the lines of the only time Arsenal are fully succeeding is when you're challenging for league titles and winning trophies around it. So that's where Arteta's got to get you back to. That can't be kicked year on year. So for me, it's this year, it's qualify, challenging for trophies. By next year, he has to, because again, by the end of next summer, you'd have spent another 100 million pounds. Then you're going towards 500, 600 million. There comes a point where you've got to demand you challenge for a league title or the manager goes. Like, that's at any club, you know, as great as Liverpool and Pep are. If they suddenly stop challenging for league titles, at some point, those managers go. Like, that's just a standard for all the top clubs.
But football is also a crazy sport in the sense, look at Sir Alex Ferguson. first 5 years he didn't win a thing. Am I wrong? And then when he started winning, it clicked into gear, and he didn't stop winning for how many years? So sometimes when you get that first piece of success with a regime that's been working for so long, that's all you need. And then once you've gotten there, you can just sustain it and try to find a way to sustain it. Or you might not ever get there. But if you continue to dig, and when you're so close to getting to catch that gold, and you turn around, you've seen that meme where somebody's digging, trying to go this whole time with a plan, working with the plan, and you divert away from it last minute when you know you're about to get there. This is where I felt like Arteta has found a way to unify the fans that were fighting amongst each other, get a good spirit in the dressing room, get players in that show the character and hunger, the character analysis in this team. You can show that you have players that want to fight and want to improve, which over the last couple of years, you couldn't say that. And overall, Terry, I think if we restart with Arteta, or if we get in a new manager, we're a better club for it right now in this time period that he's been manager. And I personally, I'm not going to hold on to Arteta if we don't have success this season. I'm just saying there is a level of like credit that he deserves for where he's gotten, and maybe it will give him a little bit of a longer leash come the end of the season if we only get the Europa League, or if we only get top 4 by like a couple points.
And bro, I understand that, but your point about Sir Alex is key. So by the end of this season, Arteta will be around 18 months away from that 5-year mark. So the point I'm making, your Sir Alex Ferguson point proves what I'm saying to be true. It took Sir Alex around 5 years to rid the club of the drinking culture, build the squads, build the academies, remove all the dead wood, bring in and make a team of his own before they were able to win their first trophy, which was the FA Cup. But he won the FA Cup. He then won the Cup Winners' Cup against Barcelona, then started winning league titles. The point I'm making is, and you've just proven it, I'm hearing a little bit, what feels like I'm hearing from you is almost, I'm really excited, we're moving in the right direction, Arteta's the right man, but we're going to keep putting excuses in the way should he not deliver. And I feel like, not this season, if he doesn't make the top 4, you've said that. But for me, this year, he's lost, not his free pass. He has to deliver Champions League football. He has to deliver an improved performance. He has to look at delivering trophies. But as he goes into the next season, the only expectation will be start challenging for league titles and be good enough to win the Champions League. You can't always win the Champions League because it's knockout football. But if you're not at that level, when a manager's getting 4 to 5 to 6 years into being at your football club, when are they ever going to be at that level?
Terry,
you have to have that level of standard for me.
We are only, right now, the squad as it is right now, if we were to get a backup DM, a CM to put Jacques on the bench, a right back, and another winger, and potentially, I say 5 players away from having a squad of the caliber to compete for a league. 5 players. But those players have to be of the quality to make you reach that level. So if we were to go get like let's not even do that, because that's gonna then people try to debunk each player. But what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying. If we had 5 more players, like this is basically saying, if we have another window where we can bring in the level of quality that we've done over the last 2 seasons, which is difficult with the level of investment, we have to sustain that level of investment, go and get adequate quality, and have a team that has cover in each position and has backups for each position, and have Arteta showing that he has a tactical nuance to manage throughout situations where we do have injuries and have problems. We will compete. If Arteta is not of the level, he'll be found out this season, and we won't get Champions League.
And I do understand that. There's a comment I want to go to, though. It's a very interesting comment indeed. It says,
do you disagree? 5 players is realistic. 5 players away from saying we can be competing at the top level with the rest of the team.
I think 5 players from this point. So, maybe 2 more this year and 3 more next year is absolutely fair. But I hold all managers to that same regard. And, I've said it about Ten Hag. If Ten Hag is still here in 2.5, 3 years' time, I expect us to be moving into that realm where we're going to start challenging. The can can't be kicked forever. There has to be, of course, contextually. Carl B said a minute ago, I can't find his comment now, that teams weren't as good back when Fergie took over. Look, football was just a very different. I disagree. Football was just different. And I know it says here 75 points will get you top 4. Will get you top 4.
Sure.
And it should get you top 4. But it's all relative. I mean, there's an argument to say when you have 3, 4, 5 teams of top class level, you get less points when there's only 1 or 2 teams of top class level, because more teams are able to beat each other, and you kind of go back to the teams that were coming 4th and 5th we're still we're considered very, very good. So there's always an argument, and people will chop and change what eras were better or worse to kind of defend their team in the now. Liverpool fans say this era is the hardest ever because that gives them an excuse for not winning more league titles. They can kind of claim these like proxy league titles, these the second place trophy titles because they're in the best era of Premier League football. But then, you know, that if we're going to say like the noughties weren't very good, it makes things like the Invincible achievement look less. Well, it's not that big an achievement because you weren't playing against teams that were as good. It means now winning a league with one loss is better than winning it with no losses because the league's harder. Then suddenly you'll get gooners go, no, it was hard back then. That's the problem when we readjust things. I don't think the league's got that much harder or that much worse. You can argue now that there aren't as many world-class defenders as there used to be, which means the goal-scoring statistics of players now means they're not as good as players that were scoring less goals 10 years ago. That's why the only true way of actually comparing eras is based on what trophies teams won, not points totals, not completely by the amount of goals somebody scores, because people are always going to chop and change
recency bias.
Not recency bias, but they're going to chop and change the variables to make their argument win, which is why how you compare how the best team in the noughties versus the best team in the last 10 years is by looking at the trophies that they've won, not the points totals or this unbeaten run or this was changed. It's the trophies. That's my view. Let's go to some more super chats here. We're going to bring some more callers in a second to chat to us. We've got Matty backstage and Winter Surfer there to speak as well. KJ Starden, that's why I couldn't see him. As an Arsenal fan, I agree with you, Gal. We don't have to get all 5 players this season, but if we get 5 players that can compete for places, we can win big. £200 bet with the Gooner. That's you, Gal. CFC finish above the Dead Reds this season. Terry holds the money. Get Lee back on, please. I mean, look, Gal doesn't gamble. It's haram. So, firstly, but I mean, Chelsea to finish above. I mean, a lot of people have had that. I mean, Lee Gunner has bet £200 with an Arsenal fan that they will finish above him. So Lee Gunner's kind of covering that bet for you there, but he's on Chelsea's side.
Lee Gunner bet that Chelsea would finish above Arsenal.
Yeah, £200 with a viewer.
Hey, where does he see us finishing? Does he see us finishing in the top 4?
5th, I think he said 5th. Behind Tottenham and Chelsea. Well, I have you finishing 3rd right now.
A lot can change throughout the season, definitely. But hey, at this moment in time, I feel very confident in my team. I feel very confident that we can do it. And at this moment in time, on 11th of August, anyone who tells me it's ridiculous to say Arsenal are going to finish in top 4, you're just deluding yourself.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree completely. I'm going to bring Matt and Winter Surfer on to have their say with a Gal and I. Make sure like buttons are being smashed. Let's do it. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. What's on your minds?
Yeah, big up, Toby. I just want to say quickly, Gal, a lot of those points on Aubameyang, I mean, you can say what you want. I didn't want Aubameyang. If you told me in May, Matt, do you want Aubameyang? I'll say, what the fuck are you on about? But he's right to the point that, yes, we must get him on a short-term deal. It's nothing for the long term. But if there's anyone to turn around Aubameyang, it's Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel had the best season with Aubameyang. I think Arsenal, yeah, he didn't really like Arteta. He didn't really like the style of play, so he went to Barcelona to find a new home. Barcelona, he scored 8 goals in 3-4 games. He's done decent. And I think he can have a return back at Chelsea. There's no one out better than Thomas Tuchel to transform him. So I think that's it. And on Bowie, I mean, I don't want anyone here rivals disrespecting Todd Bowie. Bowie has came in 1.5 months and absolutely demolished every other team and signed class players. Every single team would want Chelsea players right now. Every team wants Sterling. Every team wants Koulibaly. Every team wants Cucurella. And we're not even done. We're halfway. We're still signing 3 more players. So Todd Bowie, who's came in, I agree that I think he's a bit, I wouldn't say lost, but I think he's a bit confused because he doesn't have a lot of support around him. So he's individually taking it time by time. But imagine us now without any director of football or any support behind us. Look at the future and imagine next season when we've got director of football, we've got support around us, how much we would proceed. And I think Chelsea, we're not going anywhere. People say we're going to go in League 3, League 4. We're here to win more trophies. We're here to get more bigger players. And I think Arsenal as well maybe can get bigger, but they're not ever going to get close to Chelsea. They're never as big as Chelsea. And at this season, you guys finishing, 5th or 6th? And we are definitely finished top 4. I've already said that. Easily top 4. We've already made top 4 in my eyes.
Okay. Aubameyang did have his 2 best seasons with Thomas Tuchel, but how does that translate to Chelsea? Because none of the Chelsea attackers have had their best seasons with Thomas
Well,
Tuchel.
these aren't his players. Sorry. It's actually a good point, but I think these players are horrible. These are Frank Lampard's, as I call them, Fat Frank players. These aren't his players. His players, he's turned around. Look at the players he's came in and he's turned around. He's transformed a lot of players. I think the argument is a good argument that he hasn't transformed a lot of attackers, but the players that he identically wants. Look at the players he's Sterling, Aubameyang, and possibly he wanted Ousmane Dembele, right? He wanted to recreate that Dortmund attack where you have some skillful wingers and then a guy who can finish. You guys, you can't sit here and say Kai Havertz is a goal scorer. Kai Havertz and Werner, these guys are shocking. Pulisic, our whole attack is rubbish, and we have our best attacker is Mason Mount, who's a midfielder. So I agree, our attack is the worst attack in the top 6. I think United have a better top attacker than us, but I think if there's anyone to turn around, it's previous managers' players, and Tuchel's a player who can transform players. We've seen it with these players.
At this age, do you feel like Aubameyang is going to be useful to you guys? Or because in my opinion, what do your strikers do at Chelsea? Do they just sit around the box waiting for chances, or are they part of the whole attack?
I'll tell you right now, nothing. I can't sit and tell you what Havertz does. He doesn't do anything. If you say anything, we need an attacker to come in and just literally tap the ball in. Havertz, if you sit here and tell me what's Havertz's best con or flaw, whatever, his best thing he does is he can header the ball at times, but he can't dribble, he can't shoot. He's not an attacker. Aubameyang will not sort us for 5-6 years on. He'll kind of sort us for a season or 2. It's nothing to look. I personally have always said I want an attacker who's experienced, who's cheap. I don't mind Aubameyang, Zaha, Depay. I don't really care who it is, right? But I want someone who's experienced and is cheap. Then when we get a football director, we get a better scout system, we can go and scout players like Liao and all these other people, because we've spent a lot of money on attackers, and I don't want to go this season and overpay for attackers when we have the option to get an experienced attacker.
Do you feel like
Yeah, let me ask you a question. What's the difference between, like, obviously one of the things that I heard you speak about when Jesus was coming in is the relationship with Arteta, and how that obviously one is a draw that helps you win the race for the player, but also those soft facts will get more out of the player. Can the same not be said for the relationship between Thomas Tuchel and Aubameyang?
Potentially, but we've also seen Aubameyang decline slightly from what he was a couple of years ago to what he is now. At his back end of his Arsenal career, he was missing clear-cut chances. He wasn't finishing any chances. He wasn't really building up any of the play. And when he went to Barcelona, he was doing well. Yes, he was doing well. But near the end of his time at Barcelona, they found him pretty much useless for the rest of the games. They would rather play other players at times. And he, as you said, he might be good to tap in the odd goal here and there, but there's going to be moments where you're asking more from your players, and he's not going to offer you much more than just somebody who comes at the end of chances, maybe takes a couple penalties here and there. And I feel like it would be a lot easier for people to turn on him, and fan base lose patience with an aging Aubameyang who's already has a link to Arsenal. And when they see him coming on wearing a Chelsea shirt with the Arsenal tattoo on his arm, the proper Chelsea fans are not going to be liking that.
It's not even an Arsenal tattoo. It's just him walking down a tunnel. It's nothing sentimental about Arsenal.
He's fully wearing the Arsenal kit.
It's with his family. It's just him sentimenting his family. It's not him sentimenting Arsenal. It's nothing to do with Arsenal. It's with his family.
Stop it.
Winter Surfer, what you saying, mate?
Go
on, mate. Yeah, go on, mate. Go on. You were on mute. Yeah.
Sorry, apologies. Part of the thing for Arsenal fans is the fear that another one of their great players will have a better career at Chelsea. And that's part of me why I wanted him just to wind up Arsenal fans. But I'm not really infused with Aubameyang signing, given how he ended at Arsenal, really. But what it is it's Thomas Tuchel's job to make me understand why he wants him and how he's going to play him. I'm going to give him a chance if he signs, but I think it's a stopgap because of how little the striker market is at the moment in my eyes, because I'm not a scout or a DOF, in terms of what's out there and what's to buy. I think it will, I don't know how much he'll play. Sadly, he is an improvement of what we've got there or what's gone because of how poor the attack has been. And that's on Thomas Tuchel as well, to get the best out of the attack. And he's had 18 months. Matt, I know we agree on a lot of stuff, but to say they're not his players, I mean, I think that's a cop out, really. If someone's been there like 18 months or something like that, they are his players. You know,
I'm not giving him an excuse. I'm not giving him an excuse.
I know we like to protect Thomas Tuchel, but we need to also understand he's had 18 months with these guys. I'm glad now we're getting rid of them. I'm glad Werner's gone, because now it will mean that Havertz hasn't got a lightning rod or a safety blanket to protect him. Now that Werner's gone, he needs to step up, and that's right. Everyone seems to forget he scored roughly the same amount of goals as Timo Werner. So we need to improve the attack we have with Sterling. Even if Aubameyang comes in, I would like another attacker, because I just don't think the attack is strong enough, or is the conversion rate's not good enough. I mean, we scored 76 league goals. I don't know how last season, but if we get another person who is good, then I think that will improve our league standard. We won't challenge this season, but I think it's more like to get as much as we can this season, and then spend little or spend as much on one or two positions next season. But Aubameyang coming in, I'm 50-50. I really am. It's one of those. You're going to have to make me believe why you've bought him and how you're going to use him. That's what I want to see.
Harry, let me just say this quickly.
Go on, mate.
33-year-old Aubameyang leaves Barcelona, joins Chelsea. He will be there for the first year. For the first 5 months or to a year, he might do decent. But near the end of the year, you'll find Aubameyang struggling to get game time. You'll be shouting for Kai Havertz or anybody else or Broja to play over him. At this moment in time, I think Chelsea are better off playing Broja or giving somebody else a chance in that number 9 role than Aubameyang. And I think if you guys do sign Aubameyang, do it, because it will help us get top 4. I genuinely think he'll be absolutely terrible for you guys. And from the beginning, he might bag a couple goals here and there, and you'll think you'll have a great striker. But he has, from his back end of Arsenal, I can tell you right now, and from the back end of his time at Barcelona, I can tell you right now that I feel like this is a disaster waiting to happen. And you will come back to this video and you'll say, you know what, Igal, you were right.
I know what the fear is.
Yeah, we don't really want him.
I have no fear.
I know what the fear is.
The only thing I don't want to happen is Chelsea to pay money for this. Because from a business standpoint,
why do you care what we spend our money on? Of course he wants to spend money.
From a business standpoint, I'm pissed off that Barcelona might be getting money from a player that we gave to them for free and paid off.
That's it, isn't it? Because you didn't get anything for him. You're pissed. You don't care what we spend our money on.
No, I think he's gonna flop at Chelsea, but that has nothing to do with it.
But the fear is of him.
Standpoint at Arsenal is different to the Chelsea performance. I know
what it is. I know what it is, Agal. It's the fear of him. It's the fear of him with a picture lifting a trophy.
It's the fear of him succeeding.
With that tattoo show.
Exactly.
That's what the fear is.
He's
the fear of him lifting the trophy with a tattoo of Arsenal show.
He's going to absolutely flop. And don't forget, Willian was your player of the season before he joined Arsenal. But he then absolutely flopped at Arsenal. There's nothing to say that this could go either way. Right now, this is a prediction. My prediction is Aubameyang will maybe do well for the first couple games, score a couple goals here and there, do a backflip. Next thing you know, Chelsea fans are cheering for him. And then quickly, you'll be shouting for Broja or Kai Havertz or anybody else that you have in your attack to play over him. And
that's why I keep saying
you'll be saying to yourself, your front three doesn't work. He doesn't actually win any headers. He can't get to the end of any crosses at this moment in time. He's lost a burst of pace. He's unable to even get in the right positions. And you're going to find yourself in the same situation that we found ourselves before he got dropped back in January.
Well, we're not going to play him at left wing back for starters. Second of all,
you never know with Tuchel. Tuchel did want to sign. Did want to sign as a wing back.
That's why I said to you, it's very important to see how he's used tactically. Right? Does he come in like off the bench? Because remember, everyone keeps forgetting. After that international break in September, the big clubs are playing every 3 to 4 days in different competitions. Right? It's a madness up until the World Cup. The bigger the squad, the better it is. He might come in, score 2 goals. I prefer to give Broja a chance, but it doesn't mean that we can't still add to the squad. We need a bigger squad for this season. We need a big squad.
I hear you guys. I want to do super chats before the show ends. Aubameyang is a danger man. Wouldn't want Giroud 2.0. Is what David says. At that question there, I really like the counting Chelsea out this season. I want us to win our next 10 games. 1-0 ugly wins. Please continue to count us out. I like it this way. Gabriel says Igao is setting himself up to foul all over again. Just a few weeks ago, he was telling us about games in hand. Another Giroud who'll replace that tattoo with blue. So Chelsea can't need 4 or 5 players to challenge, but Arsenal can need 4 or 5 players to challenge. Gal contradicting his own statement after saying it. That's what's been said there. If you had him, you would have gotten 4th, is what Oba has got to say. And IS says, I'm an Arsenal fan, but what the hell is Igao on about today? Now, I want to say we are sponsored today, as you can see, by OneFootball. Now, I've been telling you all to scan the QR code. I've been telling you all to get that done. And it's something I need to announce to you. I've just had a message from my guy at OneFootball. The QR code has been put on the screen so you can see it. From this Saturday, Serie A football highlights and live matches will be exclusive for you on the OneFootball app for free. So if you want to watch Serie A, get OneFootball downloaded now. Our UK and Ireland viewers, you will get all Serie A games from this Saturday free on the app. So click on the link in the description. If it's not there, refresh it. We'll put a new one in there for you and scan that QR code. Not only do you get football news, not only do you get everything that you need, but you will get Serie A football for free. The live games all for free on the phone. Absolutely tip top. OneFootball going to all new levels there. So make sure you're getting that downloaded. Don't pay the subscription with other channels, which I already do. That's getting cancelled today. That is $7.99 a month saved. I don't even watch it, but I subscribed. So that's getting taken off. And OneFootball is the way forward on that free Serie A football for you, my people. Now, everyone, listen, I really appreciate you all that have come on the show today. Winter Surfer, Igao, man like Matt, really appreciate it. To all of our viewers, thank you. To all of our super chatters, you're absolutely amazing. Please make sure you smash the like button before you leave and get that OneFootball app downloaded. I'll leave the QR code up on the screen for any of you that are still watching. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you.